Ladies and gentlemen, organizing your music, pitches, signings, placements, and income with Mr. Keith LuBrant. Woohoo! And there we are. I'm just going to make sure I've got you in the live shot because we've had a little technical issue or two today. Hi, Keith. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I thought since I'm here, might as well get the whole live thing.
I was just that's fine. I was going to lead off. This music, ladies and gentlemen. It came from that guy right there. I called him before last year's rally and I said, Keith, I'm going to send you a couple inspiration tracks. I think one was maybe the Rolling Stones, the other one was ZZ Top, and I said, I need you to come up with an instrumental for me that works for the ins and outs of the rally, and I don't want to take any publishing, but you can't claim any publishing because I don't want this dinged by YouTube ever. So he's got this great piece of music, gets used all the time, and unfortunately doesn't make any money on it. I'm sorry.
All good.
But awesome. Yeah, I am forever in his debt, and want you to know that we're going to talk about Composer Catalog today, which is some awesome software that Keith came up with years ago that many, many taxi members use. But he doesn't pay for this. It's not, I'm not plugging it because I owe him a favor. I love Composer Catalog because of all the taxi members that have told me how it saved their bacon by using it all the time. And Keith is such a great example. He's maybe the greatest example of somebody who needs it because he's, well, I'm not going to mention any numbers of income, but his side hustle, music, he's got a full-time job, by the way, as a computer programmer and web developer. He's got a wife, he's got a daughter, he owns a house, the whole deal. He's excuse me, a regular citizen of the United States, living life. Oh, it's time for a cough drop, I think. Sorry, now I'm going to be doing an hour with you with a cough drop in my mouth. Here, maybe I'll just try a drink first. Anyway, Keith has had his music placed on more than 1,100. 1,100, more than 1,100 TV shows, on 201 different TV networks, for a total of 568,155,148 needle drops, and he got $10 for each of those. So he's a billionaire.
That was just dropping off the top of your head.
Right. I was telling somebody, I was reading this to a fellow member of yours the other day, and they said, what's a needle drop? So can you explain that, please?
Absolutely. A needle drop is when a piece of music is used on a TV show at any point. So it could be a rerun, it could be on a different network, but anytime that music is played, that would be a needle drop. So you could have a placement on the Kardashians or MTV, and they'll play it 4,000 times, and then they'll rerun it all that time. So every single one of those airings would be a needle drop.
So your music has aired 568,155,148 times, and that was like 3 weeks ago when you gave me that information. It's probably gone up by a couple thousand since then.
I'm normally not that specific with my stats, but you did ask me for that. So.
I did. He wasn't bragging. I said, look, I want people to understand that you've gotten a lot of music out there and you've created a lot of music, and he needed to be organized, and he was using Excel spreadsheets. And well, we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, so I already covered that part. Excuse me. How do you find the time to create the music? I mean, I know you pretty well, and I know you to be a good family guy. It's not like, shut up, tell that kid to shut up, go upstairs, lock her in her room, let me make music. I mean, you're not that guy at all. So how do you find...
For this, I've duct taped them into a hallway, so they're not not just kidding. It's usually around nighttime. I'll pick my spots. I want to make sure, especially when my daughter came, I wanted to be present father, and that was kind of big for me. Before that, I kind of, it's a tale of two different times. Like before my daughter came in, it was a lot more late nights and a lot more composing, all hours of the night, so that was one side. And then I was just, after a while, I was actually kind of nervous when my daughter was going to come, because I'm not going to be able to compose, and all this and all these things run through your head, and the royalties kept on coming in. So that kind of felt good, and then you just pick I really didn't compose for when, that first year. I guess I did every once in a while, but after that, I was able to kind of pick nighttime, and when she went to bed and things like that. So you pick the time. Just, I can guarantee you it's never morning, because I'm not a morning person. So it's I tried. I think I heard Pedro last year, or somebody said it, like,
Randon Purcell,
Randon,
4:30,
right,
4:30 in the morning. That dude is freaking nuts.
Yeah, and like, I'm listening to him, like, oh, that's a great idea, and then I tried to apply. I'm like, yeah, it's not me. can't do it. So nighttime is usually when I compose. If it's something that a publisher asks, hey, we need this right away, then I'll see how my day is, and try to work it out. Usually I can. But yeah, I just kind of pick my spots.
How long would it take? Well, for instance, the piece of music that you wrote for the Road Rally last year,
Yeah.
if you were just doing, a 90-second version of that, how long would it take you to make a track like that?
Well, I think that one I turned around a couple hours. So that one, because it's basic. Well, it's basic. Like, you kind of gave me a very sharp guideline of what you needed. I believe you went more toward, I think you had the Eagles, ZZ Top, and maybe the Rolling Stones.
Joe Walsh, ZZ Top, and I think
yeah.
maybe a Stone song. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So we kind of went with ZZ Top and went with that. So I had that requirement in my head. I knew the guitar tones, I knew the drum tones. So, and it was basic. It was guitar, bass, and drums, right? And then a couple lead spots over it. So something like that is not going to take a while, because I may have talked about it before, is also knowing tones. Like, for me, and you could apply it with anything, but for guitar, I know a lot of the different amps and what they're going to sound like. So instead of going through and saying, oh, let me try this, let me try that, I knew exactly, okay, this is what I'm going to go with. And then it takes me, a couple of hours to do. But if it was like something orchestral and something maybe out of my wheelhouse, it'll take me longer to do. Maybe 2 days or something like that, off and on, not continuous. But
if you didn't see it live today, go back and watch the Mark Giovanni thing on doing orchestral music.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of that. That was amazing. Great. Yeah.
Mind-blowing. That guy is such a great teacher, and he can just rattle it off. He's so fast. Everybody's going to be watching that one over and over again to get everything.
The MIDI controller thing he had too. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. So.
Yeah, and the fact that he's doing this with the faders, everybody kind of just turns it on and hits go, and it sounds like you got a 20-foot bow,
Yes.
Okay, so how many pieces, under normal circumstances, do you write in a given month, would you say?
Normally now, I really kind of throttled down my production. So I might do like 2 or 3 a week, let's say, or maybe two a week.
I think that's funny. You say throttle down. Everybody else is like, really?
Well, it also depends on the project. So if it's more advanced, stuff, or that might take longer. But if it's rock based, because everyone's comfortable with what they normally do. So if it was, I'm sure an orchestral person is, oh yeah, cello, some of these violins, and I'll be done. And I'd be like, oh, which one? Hold on. What sounds right. So it's like knowing your craft. But like I said, 2, maybe 3 a week. But normally, like, I'll get a call from a publisher or an email, and they'll say it might be a this kind of track. So I'll make a couple of them, and just kind of play my cards right and drop them in different baskets, all my song eggs and instrumentals.
Do you have, I guess if there's anybody on the planet that knows how many tracks you've got in how many different libraries, give me some stats on that stuff.
Well, it's ironic you said that, because I'm actually, I can't give you an exact, because I didn't start putting all my stuff in until after Composer Catalog. And then,
wah. I don't want to hear excuses. Just give me the freaking numbers.
Just between you. Well, this is great, though. Just between you, me, and the interweb. I was working on Composer Catalog and thought I had just a backup of a backup, and completely wiped out my database. So that's a start. That's why when I ever put out an email out to people, I'm like, before you update, make sure you back up your database because I got. But to answer your question, it's most likely around 1,500, maybe 2,000 at this point, but somewhere around there, I would think.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
How many different libraries would you say you're in?
In the beginning, I was in a lot. I know at one point there was probably 20 to 30. I kind of dwindled that down to maybe, 5 or 6 main ones and stuff like that.
And did you dwindle it down because a lot of them just weren't getting any placements for you? It's
Yeah,
like,
you kind of feel them out, and then if it's see how they perform, because that's important too. Like it's great to get a connection with the publisher, but if they're not performing and you're just kind of throwing them all the tracks, and especially if they're exclusive, then you might want to rethink that when it comes time to up your clause and stuff like that, your contract. So it was kind of a combination of just going through and seeing what was working, and then seeing who's got the placements, and also the relationship. If it's a good relationship, you kind of communicate. Not a lot, but frequently. Like there could be a publisher I might have in that I haven't talked to in 10 years. So it's
and it's funny because you could be in the same catalog as one of your fellow members, and they're getting placements all the time, and you're not. And it comes down to that catalog or that library's customer base is largely, I don't know, like electro-driven, keyboard-driven, let's say, MIDI-driven stuff versus guitar-based stuff, which you tend to favor. It's not all you do, but you do tend to favor it, I believe.
But that's a great point, because there's some publishers I know that are in the EDM, pop, dance kind of field, and I know that those guys can compose circles over me. So it's like, it would be great, to get into that publisher, but those other composers can run circles around me. So
even if they can run circles around you, the point is that mostly what you do is guitar-based stuff, or a lot of what you do, and they may just not have the clientele for it. I've got to say, I've got a friend. I've told this story on Taxi TV before. I've got a friend who owns a library, a very respectable, like an A grade library. Yeah. And one day he called me up and asked me for another library owner's name or number. And I said, sure, but why? Are you going to try and buy him or something? And he said, no, I just heard somebody amazing, but I don't have the clients for this music, and I want them to be in the right catalog, so I'm going to turn them on to this other company. That's awesome. Just because a library does great for one person doesn't mean it will do great for everybody in the catalog. Yeah. And those things change. Shows get canceled. Executive producers move to a new show. All these things affect the need for music from these different entities, which affects the library's business. Okay, so we're talking about you being like super rich. I'm joking. He's not super rich.
I'm out.
He has a really nice second income, and he deserves it because he works his butt off. So you originally kept track of your music on a spreadsheet. How come that quit working for you and caused you to think you should invent Composer Catalog?
Yeah, because there are Excel gurus out there that can create the macros and go in the 10 different worksheets and pull stuff, and I just was never that person, and it wasn't working for me because say you have a track signed, and as soon as you lose that, like if you don't realize that track's signed and publisher asks, and then you go to sign it, you're in big trouble. So I felt like I needed to create something, and Excel. Once I started getting, I don't know the number, but a substantial amount of compositions that were getting signed, and even unsigned. At that point I was like, scrolling down, and it was like, I need to think of something different, and that's when the idea was born. Oh, let me make it database driven and make it specifically for composers like myself that can give me all the information like that. So if a publisher would email and say, hey, do you have any tracks that sound like whatever, the Eagles, I could put in my search and find if I have any, if they were signed or not. So that definitely helped.
That's great. So something that would have taken a long time to do otherwise,
Yeah.
you could do in 30 seconds. That's pretty cool.
Like I said, there are some Excel peoples that swear by it, and that's cool. That's definitely cool. I don't. I'm just not that kind of guy.
Yeah, but learning Excel is like learning how to compose. It's not something where you can watch 2 videos on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
and master Excel,
True.
in an
True.
hour.
True.
Did you reach out to a lot of other taxi members when you were building it? Like, were they your guinea pigs? Do you like this
I
feature?
did.
Or do you need that feature? How's it working?
Yeah.
Do you remember any specific aspects of what Composer Catalog does that came from outside of your brain,
Yeah.
from
I,
somebody
I know
else's?
in the very beginning, I was kind of showing a couple friends of mine that were composers, taxi members, and somebody said you should market this, because silly me, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking this would be cool to give to my friends, blah blah blah. And they said this is because there's like, there are other programs, but I started searching for them. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah,
So they came and said, well, this would be kind of cool if you can kind of market this. And I had in the beginning, there's a group of beta testers that kind of would send out like early versions of it and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they definitely help shape what things are needed and what still needs to be made. Actually, I listen. A lot of times I get an email from people that are using it. Say, it'd be cool if we had this. So I kind of take the popular ones and try to put them in an update. When I can, to put it in there. But to answer your question, there's a lot of, I'd say maybe 6 to 10 taxi members in the beginning that helped,
wow.
shape it to what it is. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
do you always add new features as you find that you need them, or other friends of yours who you trust their opinions?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll do like, if I get a couple different people emailing the same feature set, yeah, it would be cool if we had this, I'm like, okay, well, there's a couple, different things that they're asking for the same feature. So let me add that. But then there's also some people that might ask for something that's very taxi specific. And like I said, I try to make it very generic. So,
Right.
I don't know who's a non-taxi member. They should all be taxi members, but no, I mean, so a composer that was using it can use it. Yeah.
Are there people who don't belong to taxi? My goodness. Trust me, there are many. Did you, at any point while you were building it, think, wow, this is too specific to me and I'm on like a fool's errand, nobody else will get this? Let me rephrase that question. Were you shocked when you put it out there and a bunch of people glommed onto it because it was kind of so perfect for what they needed?
I was, to be honest, I was, because I didn't know, and I never released anything. So this was completely new to me. I know the first day I released it, I was very nervous because this is all new to me, and then when people started using it and I'm hearing the feedback, like that's made me feel really good, because I'm helping them, in a sense where yeah, I'm selling it, but I'm helping a composer stay organized, which is kind of cool to me. Like, and when I hear feedback, say thank you and all that, like it's still to this day really gets me because it's something that I remember I just thought of and made it, and now I'm helping others. So it's kind of cool.
I understand that feeling. Like 3-4 times a
Yeah.
year, I look back and remember the moment when I had the idea for Taxi, and I think to myself, how could I have ever imagined back then that thousands of people all over the world would have their lives changed to varying degrees?
Absolutely.
Because their dreams are coming true again to varying degrees, all because I had an idea. So I very much relate to that.
And you touched so many people, and myself, I always say to you all the time, you've touched me in a way that you've opened doors I never could have. So it's a awesome, company, and you've helped so many people, and you feel good about that. That's pretty cool.
It does. There are things that transcend income.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. I mean, I didn't mean to turn this into a commercial about our two respective companies, but these are the behind the scenes things that other people don't see, that, you get those little warm, fuzzy moments where the thoughts in your head, maybe don't even talk about it with your family. You just go, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody, I just found out the other day that a taxi member a couple of years ago at the road rally, a young kid was talking to one of our screeners, and the screener said, oh, you should meet so-and-so, and turned him on to somebody who's kind of a big deal at the road rally. Not Rob Shirelli, because I know people are going to try and guess that. And this guy started producing demos with the kid who was 12 or 13 years old at the time. He's now 14 years old, and he just signed a record deal with Curb Records, a full-on 7-record deal with Curb. All because he went to the Road Rally and he was out there networking, and it's
That's
like
awesome, man. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That is awesome.
So give me some bullet points, because I'll just butcher it, and I don't want to do that. Give us some bullet points about what Composer Catalog does.
Okay. So basically, it's not online yet. It's a desktop application. I know a lot of people ask about that. I'll answer that one too. So it's not online yet. I've had to start and stop a couple different projects. COVID hit, and a couple different things didn't work out. So it's like I'm working on that. The second one is it does not write any information on the audio files themselves. That's I want to get that out, because that's another main question. It's like, does it write stuff on? And that was a specific decision on my part, because different publishers asked for different things, I guess, in the ID tags and stuff. And I just didn't want to get into that game. I thought maybe down the road I can update it at some point. I just haven't got around to it yet. But the main gist of it is you can put a track in. Basically, the generic miscellaneous stuff would be like key, BPM, is it registered, the length, and like the status of it. So you can create different track statuses. So if I'm recording it now, if it's in process, I could select that. If it was sent to Taxi, you could create a custom one sent to Taxi, or forwarded from Taxi. So the statuses, it also keeps track of the writers. So if you had different writers on the track, you could add them all in, what kind of deals they have. Publishers, the same deal. So you could have keeps track of if it's non-exclusive, exclusive. And then any session musicians, or if you collaborate with anybody, you can add all them in at that point. I'm trying to think. Lyrics you can put in. There's then there's like a metadata section where you can have like bands that sound like. Got me on the spot here. So the instrumentation that was used, and then maybe TV shows that would be perfect on something like that, right?
Oh, that's good. I didn't even know it had that feature. So, wow, give me an example of how you would use that.
Perfect. So I had some banjo stuff that I was doing for Duck Dynasty. So I would put in, here's the cue, and banjos and TV shows that would fit Duck Dynasty. So if somebody says, hey, do you have something that, would be cool that sounds like Duck Dynasty, you could put that in too. So it's all these different things that you can search by. And then there's this huge search engine that now you can search on all the stuff that you put in. And then drill in to see, okay, and it'll tell you if it's signed or not signed. You can kind of drill in and then see the whole piece and all the information you put in. And then there's reporting aspect. You can export some different kinds of reports. I was looking around the table. I'm working at the kitchen table at my house today, but at my office, I've got Post-it notes, always like a dozen to 2 dozen Post-it notes laying around. With all the, I'll be in a phone conversation with somebody. Oh, that's important. I write it down. So basically, you've taken all those Post-it notes and combined everything that could go on them into one place, so that you don't. Because I'm constantly lifting up stuff in my office. Every time I pick up my Rodecaster, which is my little mixer that I use for doing Taxi TV, there are always 3 or 4 Post-it notes under there. Yep. Sometimes they get stuck upside down on the underneath side of it. Well, that's really cool. And I do remember asking you, maybe it was at last year's rally or maybe it was on Taxi TV, but once I said to you, at what point, how many pieces of music do you need to have before Composer Catalog is valuable to you? And you gave some great advice, which was buy it early. Like if you've got 10 pieces of music, get it. Because you won't go back in time and enter all that stuff. Yep. It's just daunting. Yes. And I'm working on a better importing system, but it is, I don't want to say, because there's so many different parameters you can put in. And as soon as somebody, just for an example, if somebody types in Foo Fighters and they misspell fighters, put a Z on the end of it, whatever, right? So this is just a generic example. Then you have 2 different Foo Fighters and it gets ugly, and that's just, they could misspell a genre, and then you got different things. So I'm working on a cleaner importing system, but right now I would say get it as soon as you can, because it's just, and I'm not saying that because of the sales aspect of it, I'm saying it because it's just, like you said, you're never going to go back and be like, oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
50 I made. Let me take the time. It's like, no, let me just start here. So I would start right from the get go.
And so you can put in, because people who are like fairly well along in their composing careers for music libraries know that it's extremely typical that they would ask you for alt mixes, for stems, maybe cut downs. So all that stuff can be tracked in there?
Yes. So you can actually just kind of point. So nothing really gets uploaded into the database. It points basically for the audio files. So if you had audio files in your C music directory and whatever, you kind of drill into where those alts and stems are and then link them all to that one track. So that way, when you bring the track up, you can play the different stems and listen to them and see what, remember what the track is if you wrote it 10 years ago.
Oh, I think I see a feature coming. I just had a feature idea.
Oh.
Which is audio waveform recognition, so that when you're working on something, that in the background composer catalog goes, oh, I see you're working on, Tony's Topsy. Would you like to enter that now before you lose it? Yeah.
There you go. Heard it here first.
Excuse me. I'm going back to my cough drop for Matt. I made a note. Don't you hate spending time doing data entry when you could just be doing music? Everybody loves to create. Nobody loves to do the business side of things. But, you can't get to the level that you or many of the other successful taxi members are at if you're not organized. You've got to take care of your business, because the libraries won't work with you anymore. If they call you and you say, yeah, I got to dig around, see if I can find that, and you don't find it in a reasonable amount of time, they'll move on and grab it somewhere else. So was Composer Catalog cost like $69 or something, $79?
Well, today it's going to be $69. We'll have a little discount code that I made. Yes.
Hold on.
It's just in. Beep, 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 beep.
The audience is laughing. Okay, stop it.
But that was important, because that happens all the time. It's like, hey, we need this, but we need to know right now. Do you have something? And if you don't really have a good idea of what you have, then you're going, okay, where did that go? I think I have that. Let me check. And then it's just like, by that time, somebody else has it.
I've always said to people that if you don't have Composer Catalog and Master Writer, they're both so remarkably inexpensive for what they do, and they're such great tools. And people always, it's like, yeah, I'm going to get it someday. People always say, oh, yeah, I've been watching Taxi for 20 years, and I finally joined. It's like, yeah, you just missed out on 20 years of income building and retirement fund building.
Yeah.
But those two tools, if I'm plugging somebody else's something here, but Master Writer, it's astonishingly good at what it does. And I'm not going to go into a whole song and dance, but if you guys have never checked that out, you're only hurting yourself. It doesn't write songs for you, but it will help you find way better ideas in a very fast way, which is what Composer Catalog does. It's all about speed and organization.
I think that's it. It's you use the tools that are out there to help better you, make things faster, make things easier, and stuff like that. So it's, why, for me, I'm always looking for something that could help. That's why you make templates, right, when you record. So I'm pulling up a track. I know it's going to be a rock track. I'll pull up my rock template, make sure it's, fits everything, or, orchestral template, anything, dramedy template. Anything that makes your job easier or quicker, both, that helps you in the long run.
And it is an industry built around speed. I used to use production music libraries when I was an audio post engineer in New York. Believe it or not, I'm so old that when I started using them, some of the libraries were still on vinyl, and the more modern libraries were on quarter-inch reel-to-reel with white leaders between the different pieces of music. And then one day, about 10 boxes of CDs showed up, and we were all like, yes, now we can just hit track number 4 and go right to it.
Yeah, go right to it.
But it's all about speed. Even back then, with this clunky system of storing and cataloging library music, from the library side.
Yeah.
People in ad agency don't want to sit there at $350 an hour, actually $410 an hour for the room that I worked in, and watching you sit there going past the leader. Oh crap! No, that other leader, back and forth. They want it boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's true.
I've been getting a lot of questions in the chat, so we've got a half an hour left. Let's take some questions from the chat. Hey, there's Richard Emmett in there. Hello, Richard Emmett. He says, longtime master writer user here. Let's see. So, guys, if you've already asked a question, I'm not going to scroll back up and try and find it. If you'd be so kind, just write the word question in all caps, then follow it with your question. Here's one from Gloria Covington. Hello, Gloria. I bought Composer Catalog at Road Rally 2020. Do I need an update? Is the update free or is there a fee? That's a good question.
Yes, all updates are free, and I send out an email every time we're updated. And usually it's an OS update or a feature update. And right now Mac has been going crazy with their OSs and different things, M1. So that's been a struggle too, because you're trying to get those to work, and then they pop out something else, so it's like you're back to the drawing board. But to answer her question, I always send out an email. So if you haven't had an email, just shoot me an email. Go to the website, go to the contact information, just shoot me an email, and I'll answer you through there. But I always send out an email with the link when there's an update available.
And here's a question from Paul House. Hello, Paul. How are you, buddy? All the way from the UK. His question is, can we add links to Disco in Composer Catalog?
There are sections in there that you can put anything in. So I specifically made a generic comment section, so you can put whatever you want in there. So I made that just kind of a catch-all, like tab, so people can put their links in there. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I've got to say, Disco, for those of you who don't know, it's become the de facto way that the industry sends music around. Nobody wants to get an MP3 attached. Nobody wants to get an album of MP3s attached to an email. None of us like... Whoops, hold on, my phone's ringing. Look, it's time for Quarantini Happy Hour. It's my 3:32 p.m. reminder. That's funny.
I got to make my drink. Hold on.
What the hell was I just talking about?
Nobody wants to send out
Disco.
MP3s.
Yeah, Disco. So, like 5-6 years ago, they came up with Disco, which is highly efficient, easy to operate way of sending links around to people in the industry. And then if you hear something you like via streaming it, you can download it. We use it at Taxi. It's another one of those things that you guys can get a free, like baby version of Disco if you don't need to send a ton of stuff. Check it out.
Yep.
Let's see. Question. Keith, can we import from a spreadsheet anytime soon? That's from Nick Moxham. Hello, Nick.
Yes. Hey, Nick. How you doing? It's the same feature that you normally have right now. And I was going through the problems of importing all the information. So I have a solution that's going to help. It's in an update that I'm working on right now, and I'm just trying to solidify the Mac version. And then once that's solidified, there will be an easier way to use track profiles. And I'm aware of that. But track profiles I set up where, say you're always composing for a publisher, you set up this track profile for this publisher, has all the information there, so you don't have to keep on typing all the time. So if I'm publisher A, I set up all my writers, I set up, the publisher, the splits, all that. And then if I'm doing an album's worth of rock, AC/DC stuff, I'll fill in the metadata, anything you want to fill in. And then basically the new import system, you're going to be able to take that information and link it to whatever you're importing. So to answer Nick's question, I'm working on it. There's going to be another upgrade soon, hopefully, but it's in the process.
And the question from Glenn Letts is, does Composer Catalog work with the latest Mac OS, which is Monterey?
That's what we're working on right now. So
Okay.
it hasn't been fully tested, so we're still working on it.
And we all know, as much as we love our Macintosh computers, that when they come out with a new OS, wait at least 9 months before you upgrade anything.
Brutal. I just got done the last OS upgrade in the M1, and then it's like, here's another one. It's like,
Oh yeah, I forgot the M1 chip. That probably
Yep.
caused a lot of consternation. I saw another. There we go. How do you choose? This one's from Sonic, and he says, Keith, how do you choose which songs you want to pitch to libraries versus publishers, and for what kind of eels? I think he means deals, exclusive or non-exclusive.
well, it's up to you as far as the non-exclusive and exclusive. I was always, in the beginning, I was doing it non-exclusive along with the exclusive. And I think at this point, I think I'm doing all exclusive from what I can remember. And that's just a personal preference, whatever you want to do. As far as what to pitch, I would look at the publisher and see what, there's two angles you could take. You could say, okay, what are they missing? As far as their library, and say, if it's something that I can contribute, that would be great. So if you're an EDM artist and maybe they don't have EDM, maybe shoot them an email, with some links just to say, here's some EDM music. Or if they're doing the music that you do, that's another angle, just shoot them an email, and then make sure they're links, like you said, not MP3s or a zip file of the whole album, and then, and take it from there. I've been thankful. I'm sorry.
No, you finished the thought, please.
I've been thankful. 99% of my publishing connections have been through Taxi. So it's like, that's how I
now I'm really glad I let you finish.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, before Taxi, I did that. I somehow did a music conference, and there was like, I found the CD. They somehow had a link to a music publisher for MTV's Sorority Life. This is years back, maybe 2003 or 4.
Wow.
And it was just a pain, like going through all that iteration of finding that, and then, and just going through that whole. So it was like, all right, so Taxi kind of opened those doors and, helped be the middleman, and worked out. For me, it worked out. So I can't complain. So.
Yeah, I always say Taxi is the second best way. Actually, for about 10 years, we had a brochure, 4-color, slick brochure that we sent out to people back when ground mail was still a thing. And the front cover, the headline was the second best way to get your music to record labels, publishers, and film and TV. And you open it up, and it said the first best way is you. Yeah. But most people don't have the chops. They're afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody. They're not really good at writing businessy type correspondence. They don't have the time to research. So that's why we built Taxi. There is a better way to do it if you're really good at that stuff and you have the time.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Scrolling down. Here's one from Katrina Seifert. Keith, with so many tracks now, what's your favorite feature on Composer Catalog that helps organize your music?
Knowing what's signed, because that's the quickest. It's kind of the question. Hey, do you have this? Does it sound like the Black Keys? So knowing exactly what's signed, and that way you can have I think is the best feature of it for me.
I actually do hear from library owners. Many, I've got 3 or 4 that are actually very close friends of mine, and they will tell me that it's not uncommon for them to get a submission submitted to Taxi, forwarded to the library, only to find out that they've already got it in their library. So the member forgot that they signed a deal, and they're still out there pitching it. Either that, or they're just completely unknowledgeable about the way the industry works. They don't understand publishing. But how ironic that you've signed something with, catalog ABC, and now you're pitching through Taxi. Now, it could be that they don't know who the listing is for. But here's the fateful thing, I guess. The fickle finger of fate is pointing back at them because they're still out there pitching something they signed. So even if it doesn't go to that library, if it goes to any library, it's like, dude, it is signed. Which brings me to a question somebody else asked, do you prefer exclusive over non-exclusive? And you've kind of already answered the question.
Yeah.
And I think that 10 years ago, a lot of people signed non-exclusive because a
Yeah.
lot of new libraries opened up. But it seems like you now prefer exclusive?
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier because then you don't worry about like a retitle, and that's just me. Me personally, it's just easier. I have this track. It's called this, and it's going there. I do have to have a funny story. There was a taxi had run a clap stomp
Right.
listing, right? So I sent one in there, and it got forwarded. So publisher A contacted me. She said, "We like it. Do you have any more?" I'm
Oh,
like, "Yeah,
was
I
this
can make
the thing? Sorry to interrupt, but was this for the taxi compilation?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So just for people who don't know, if I may interrupt,
Yeah, absolutely.
Taxi, like every other month, we put together a compilation and send it out to like 20, 30 libraries all in a fell swoop. They're all people that we know and do business with, but we're trying to stimulate them to, wow, that's another great batch of music from Taxi. I should get off my butt and run more listings with them.
Yeah.
So Keith made it onto the Stomp Clap thing, and tell everybody what happened. This is great.
So I had company publisher A say, "We really like your stuff. Can you make some more?" I'm like, "Yeah." So sign that to there, and then like a week later, publisher B say, "Hey, we really like that Taxi, stomp track. Can we sign it?" I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, it's been signed, but I can make another one, right?" And it's like, so then I went that night, maybe 4 hours, like I said, wrote another one, recorded it, and sent it to them the next day, and said, "Well, and they go, love it. Do you have any more? Could you make?" Yeah. So did that, and then like 3 weeks later, publisher C says,
Wow.
"Hey, we really like that track. Can we sign it?" I'm like, "Well, unfortunately, it's signed, but I can make another one." So that night recorded another one, and they wound up signing that one. So in that one listing, I had 3 different opportunities. So it's something that I would like to come across to other composers, is that don't be so fickle with that one track. Put it out there, submit it, and if 2 publishers come back, say, "Okay, well, it's signed," be honest with them, but I can write another one. So
Excuse me. Yeah, people wonder why we do those compilations. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to submit to that. Wouldn't I be better off submitting directly to a library? And it's very hard to make it onto a Taxi compilation. It goes through layers of A&R. But for a $5 bet, if you land on that thing, you could end up like Keith and have 3 companies. And were they companies that you didn't have relationships with?
Yes, actually, all 3. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
I don't have the piece of paper with me. It's somewhere in this house, but I want everybody to know that we've added, I think, in 2021 alone, we've added 17 new music library clients, about 30 new clients listing industry professionals looking for music that we've never worked with before. 30 in the first 9 months of 2021. So for old dogs like you that have been around for a long time, and a lot of libraries, you've got a lot of stuff in their catalog. It's like you can never have it in enough good places. Yeah. So there's that.
That's kind of what I've done. I looked at the listings, like, we never run this listing before, or you probably won't have stuff in this company. I'm like, all right, if it's something that's in my wheelhouse, that I can crank out. Give it a shot.
Yeah, we actually will put that in the listings, in the verbiage where it's a new company, you probably don't have stuff. And we're getting really good. I got to hand it to our A&R department right now is the best we've ever had. Not just the screeners, but the actual people who work, in the office all the time, bringing in the new companies and making sure the right music goes to them, all that stuff. They're, it's the best. They're really, really hitting it out of the park. And awesome. Bria's on that team with Tom and Annie and Eric, and they're like a well-oiled machine getting the job done, not only quickly, which matters, but getting it done really, really well. Let's see. Any other questions here? I'm looking. I don't want to miss anybody. Oh, here we go. Here's another one from Sonic. Hello, Keith. Have you ever regretted signing to an exclusive deal because they didn't pursue your song and then you couldn't use it elsewhere?
Nope. No, my mindset is that I'll just write something else. Like, I'm not, and case, well, in my, I'm probably 99% instrumentals. I started actually doing more songs with different co-writers this year with COVID. I never really did that, so it was cool to open up to different people and have songs. But 99% of my stuff is instrumental. So my mindset is I'll write another one. I'm not sold to these things. They're not like, you know, I can't let them go. I just keep on writing.
And Sonic, I want to add to what Keith just said by saying that, just so you know, that production music libraries, film, TV music publishers generally aren't pushing it out there. It's not like, you sign a new song, a potential hit with Warner Chappell. They've got people that are going to go hit the street, knock on doors of artists that are signed to major labels that think, this would be a great song for Ariana Grande. This would be a great song for whomever. They do that. That's outbound marketing. In the film and TV world, the vast majority, vast, maybe even like 95, 99% of it is inbound, where they actually have a need. The music supervisor has a need, and that they will then come to the library. Do you have anything like this?
Yep.
Uh-oh, Bria's writing me a note. Oh, no, she's not. Never mind. I thought she was going to hold up a cue card and say, shut up, you're talking too much.
Another quick story. I had a placement with Pedro's company in style with who I love, Pedro. Just putting it out there. Great guy. Yep. Cats and Dogs 3 was the movie, right? So I think COVID just hit because I was like, oh, I could take my daughter, because it's like a kid's movie. I'm like, oh, I'll take my daughter to the movie theater, and for some reason it was released everywhere except for the United States. So I was like, all right, so I'll buy like the Blu-ray or whatever, so I could show, this is what Daddy does. And I was like, so I got it. I'm like, hey, do you want to watch Cats and Dogs 3? Daddy's got his music on here, She's like, nah, not really.
Oh, man.
So
Olivia.
Give me later, Daddy. I was like, oh.
That movie's going to put you through college, Olivia. You have to be interested.
Like the one thing I could, I could show her, because I try to explain to her. She's 8 now, so I try to explain what Daddy does, when he writes music and stuff like that. So I brought up that as an example, and her eyes kind of got. She was understanding it more, what I do, which is cool.
Yeah, wow! I can't believe she's 8 already.
8, yep, crazy.
All right, we've got, let's see, like 14 more minutes. Here's a question from Dan Weber. If you sign with a library that specializes in world music, can you still get a hard rock placement?
Specializes in a hard rock placement with a hard rock song?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you sign with a library that specializes in world music, can you still get a hard rock placement?
Well, it
so,
depends.
I don't really fully understand the question either.
I mean, if the publisher has different genres in under their catalog, then yes. But if they're just specializing in world music, then no. I don't think they're gonna.
Schisms Design says, were you serious about discount code for $69 purchase price? Yeah, go ahead and spill your guts on that right now, and we'll refresh everybody's memory at the end of the thing.
So yeah, if you go to composercatalog.com/rally, RALLY, I set up a page there. So for $69, there's a special rally page there. So, and I'll active throughout the rally, and I'll probably keep it up like a week after the rally, so people who are just checking in can grab it.
Here's an interesting question from the Joy of Shelby. Question: do you have a company or know of one that for a fee will categorize your track with genre and potential sounds likes for TV shows? That may be a good addition for your program. I do know that there are 2 credible companies out there that do meta tagging. I can't think of their names right now, and I'm not sure if they will take on individual musician projects or if they I know that they work with some library owner friends of mine where they may send them 5, 6, 7,000 tracks and have them all get professionally meta tagged. Are you aware of anybody that does it for individuals?
I think so. I think I've heard composers talk about that. I don't know any specifics, but for a fee, you can get the meta tag or what it sounds like and different things like that. I don't know any of the specifics though.
And that's a tough gig to have. We have
Yeah.
found over the years that many musicians, when they tag their own stuff, cannot be as objective as they need to be, and they might even totally miss like a great sound-alike that didn't even pop into their head.
It's almost as important as the actual track itself, because that's how they find it, right? So creative titles, make something that pops out. That's something that I like to do. That might describe the track, but just as a little bit, makes somebody go, oh, well, what's that about? It's not like your normal Joe Schmo title.
I was talking to a TV editor friend of mine the other day, and I asked the editor, do you look at the waveforms? Because I know that music supervisors will sometimes look at the waveform and see if a certain track builds or if they're good edit points. So you can tell that stuff by looking at the waveform. Yeah. And the editor said, I don't really look at the waveform as much. I use the title more than I would use a waveform. And that's one of my favorite topics is create great titles, because you could have the greatest piece of music in the world that's poorly titled, and it'll get passed over
all the time. Yeah. Yep.
You want to telegraph what the music sounds like or what the emotion is in the music in the title.
Yeah, because how fast they're picking songs. So if they have a list of 10 songs that sound like the Foo Fighters, they're going to go through them, and that one track title might catch their eye and be like, oh, let me check that one out, because it's a very fast moving, business that they got to do.
Yep. Yeah, and an editor might be sitting there staring at a digital bin that's got, pages and pages and pages and pages of stuff, even under a particular genre, like, rock guitar tracks, up-tempo rock guitar tracks. It might have, 687 in there. Well, they need, an up-tempo guitar thing that would be like the Foo Fighters. So if your thing was called something like Foo on You, Don't Fight, or something like that, they go, I see what they're hinting at here.
Yeah. That was another thing too. That panel that you had with the music supervisor was going through and placing it. That was mind blowing to me, because I've never saw
with Laurel Ostrander, the editor.
Yes.
Yeah, she's actually doing. She is Sunday morning. She's my first interview.
Nice.
Yeah, we won't be able to have her play music against picture because of all the copyright issues of doing a live broadcast on YouTube and stuff. But it's going to be good.
Mind blowing.
She's one of the best panelists we've ever had at the Road Rally. And the funny thing was, first time we had her in the ballroom, there were like 300-400 people in there. And I was like cringing. It's like, this is vital information that everybody needs to know. You could literally have...
The curtain was open, I send my music to a music publisher, and then what happens? And it's like, well, this is what happened.
And she gave, I'm not going to say what this one piece of information was. I think you know what it is, but she gave out one little kind of, not even a hint, just kind of mentioned this thing. And all the people who were like the more experienced composers came up to me in the hallway later and said, I never thought of that. That's amazing. And it's like, now I know to build that into every track I make so that it makes it more desirable for editors and more usable. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Now everybody's like, tell me. No, you got to watch my interview with Laurel Ostrander Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Here's a question from Joel DeJong. Question: is there a taxi equivalent independent A&R service for outbound marketing to get well-known artists to record your song? Well, that's a publisher is what that is. Getting the publisher to talk to you and get interested in your song is why Taxi exists. But just so you know, John, Taxi does have major record label level artists that run listings looking for stuff through Taxi. That's what happens when the other side of the publishing industry, on the record side, not only will a publisher sign a song and then make a list of potential artists that it would be well suited for, the artists, when they're getting ready to go in the studio, either through their management or their producer, will reach out to all the top publishers and say, hey, Pink is going back in the studio in July, and we're starting to look for songs. If you have anything appropriate, send it to us. So there's that. Looking for other questions. Wow, you guys are busy little beavers in the chat room right now. Edmund Red says, I miss the West End. We all do. I mean, this is great because we get to do sessions that we can't do in the context of a live thing. Yeah. But there's nothing like the West End bar for networking, you know?
I'm getting a lot more sleep, I can tell you this time.
Yeah, I'm not. I am absolutely not. I got woken up by a coyote in our backyard this morning. They come over the 6-foot wall, and this damn coyote was right outside of our bedroom window at 5:31 a.m. this morning.
That was the first prequel, Coyotes in the Wild.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, there's a title. Hey, Sis Doyle. I see Sis Doyle in the chat room. And Jazz Stan, all of our buddies. Yeah. Yep, the Coyotes are back. Marion Laird, does the West End bar serve soft drinks? Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully a year from now you'll be having one with us, Marion. Yeah. All right, here's a question from Chris.
Great rally.
Yeah, a lot to live up to. Do you know that this is our 25th road rally this weekend? Wow, 25 of these suckers. Question, would it be useful to consider having a profile plugin for DAWs that opens Composer Catalog as part of a bounce or mixdown?
I see what they're trying to say. It's probably a lot more to do to get that working with all the different DAWs and then the updates that the DAW has to get it communicating. It's probably there's a lot more probably in the background needs to be done with that one. So, down the road, who knows, but probably not as far as updating. It's another thing too. Sometimes a publisher will contact me and say, is this good for, or I had a record label ask me, is this good for what I do? And I'll say that it's really kind of meant for a composer. It's not really meant for a record label that has 20 people on their roster. It's meant for trying to keep a composer organized.
Right. Hang on a second. Bria was trying to tell me something I'm not understanding. We're playing one from them. Okay, good to know. All right. Thank God for Bria. I'd be lost. I'm like a little old man with his walker. Like, tell me where to go, what to do next.
Well, I go left? No.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't even realize that we're slipping in a Master Writer video coming up after you. I didn't remember that when we were talking, but they did a video last year. Master Writer is one of those things that unless you've seen this video, you don't really understand the kind of value you can bring. People think it's just an electronic thesaurus or rhyme dictionary. It's so much more. Yeah. Anyway, Mike Steinwell. Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy? My new fishing buddy. He's now heavily into saltwater fishing. Question, Keith, how do I check to see if there's an update to the version I have now for Windows?
Right. You can always update. You can always grab the latest demo, and since you have a licensed key on your computer, you just download it, install it, and it will just upgrade if there's something new there. But like I said, I always send out an email. So if you haven't got an email, for the Windows side, I haven't done an update in a while. Like I said, I'm holding off on the Windows on this next update until I get the Mac side worked out. But you can always download the demo, and then your license will unlock the demo into the full version. What I do suggest all the time when you're ever updating is to back up your database first, because crazy things can happen. So
even to people who are professionals, right?
This is true. Yes. Even like myself.
That's right. Yeah. It's a horrible feeling when it happens.
Oh
it's just the worst. Robbie Hancock's in the chat reminding everybody that the Road Rally virtual hangs will be tonight at 6 p.m. Robbie, that's right. Robbie, just so you know, we had a massive tech malfunction earlier. So we are once again playing the Air Gigs video and doing a hang with their CEO. at 5:45. That'll probably go to 6:15. So we may hog a little bit of your traffic until 6:15. Sorry about that, but the tech gods were not with us a couple hours ago. It was scary as hell. So go ahead. We've still got a minute left. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can get the discount for Composer Catalog, and thank you for offering that.
No problem. Composer www.composercatalog.com/rally, RALLY.
Great.
Like I said, I'll have that up for the prequels, the rally, and then probably like a week after the rally's done. So,
nice. Well, congratulations again. I for those of you who can't see it, I know Keith well, but we got to know each other through business. I love taxi members that have their act together and are successful and help other members, and he's all that stuff. And he's also, hold on, I'm looking for that number. I just love saying this number. Okay, he's had placements on more than 1,100 TV shows on 201 TV networks for a total of 568,155,148 needle drops, meaning his music has been played on air over 500 million times. And
yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, look at you. It's pretty cool. No, it's freaking awesome.
Well, it's part-time too, right? Think about it, part-time.
That's right.
People say I don't have time. You can always have time to do it. So
you can, you just have to turn, as somebody said earlier, I think Tony Van Veen said earlier, just turn off the damn Netflix.
Yeah, yep.
And if you are watching Netflix, you better be taking notes on the music, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. I know that I just stole an hour away from your upgrading Composer Catalog time.
No problem
All
at all.
right.
I appreciate it. This is awesome, man.
Well, thank
Good luck
you,
with
Keith.
the rest of the rally.
Thank you. I hope the tech gods stay with us as solidly as they did through years. I will talk to you soon, my friend.
Sounds good. You take
care. You too. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, here. Go for it.
I can't hear your music. It's fine.
Okay. Bye, Keith.
Take care.